Everyone. This is Trip, and I wanted to let you know that I had an amazing experience last weekend. That's right. I was at Luther Theological Seminary teaching a class, an intensive class for their divinity students, and it was called Pop Gods, looking at theology and culture. And turns out I completely lucked out and got to screen a brand new movie, Freud's Last Session, that is coming out in theaters right now. Which is why I'm telling you about this. In this film, it does a kind of what if. What if Freud and C.S. Lewis, one of the 20th century's most ardent atheists and most persuasive theists, what happens if they spent the day together? And not just any day, the beginning of the United Kingdom's entrance into World War II. It's near the end of Freud's life, and C.S. Lewis is a youngster, comparatively, and in this film you not only get the power of each one's perspective played out by some amazing performances, but you also see what happens when we move beyond the normal framing of kind of theist versus atheist, that's dominated so much of the public square when it comes to religion and spirituality and theology. Uh, they obviously come into this moment with assumptions, with anticipations of who they're meeting, how they will critique and dismiss each other, how they'll be harnessing reason and their research and their work to persuade the other one. Freud's long time wrestling and discovery of the unconscious, its power, our defense mechanisms, and how C.S. Lewis becomes one among other examples of displaying the way this psychoanalytic method opens someone up to false consciousness. This idea that we don't even know, we aren't transparent to ourselves why we believe and find certain things persuasive. Like he performs that powerfully, and C.S. Lewis, you hear him sharing his story of starting out as an atheist, his relationship with the Inklings, Tolkien. It does a flashback to the famous conversation where J.R. Tolkien, author of Lord of the Rings, one of his Inkling buddies, raises the question of whether any of these myths they find compelling would be a true myth. And C.S. Lewis' own kind of wrestling with the history of Jesus and such, and posing that back to Freud. And they play those roles, right? These powerful roles that they function like the stand-in of the ardent atheist and the ardent theist. But here's what's beautiful about this film, which is adapted from a play by the same name, which I deeply love and was worried the film wouldn't get the play right, and it does. It does. But in Freud's last session, what you see, if you don't watch it with the let's take sides, where our tribe has their representative entering the battlefield, if you experience the film as a reflection of our current moment, then you notice that throughout the film there's that couch, Freud's couch, which he calls the couch of transformation. And he warns C.S. Lewis when he starts to sit on it, don't go there, it's dangerous. Right? And in his mind, there are all these stories of transformation that happens there. But if you watch through the film, much like the play, they both end up on the couch in different ways at different times. They're processing grief. They're wrestling and getting honest about things they've repressed and denied. They share deep wounds, their own doubts and hesitations, and they get back and forth on and off the couch. C.S. Lewis, in the middle of this, the start, right, of the UK's entrance into World War II, there's all the trauma showing back up, his PTSD of sorts from World War I. And Freud is sitting there weeks from death with cancer that's not treatable, needing his pain dealt with morphine and such, while the air sirens are going off and doctors are leaving and hiding for protection, right? Like they're both have this moment in time, the beginning of the war triggers in them connections with their own mortality and such. And it's in that space where that battle line of atheist versus theist breaks down, And you experience a kind of authenticity and vulnerability in both of them that makes them uniquely human. And if you came in assuming one side or the other, whoever you were anticipating, right, getting burned of sorts in a takedown becomes deeply human. Their shared quest for the truth and the wrestling with ultimacy is honored in each other, though they don't leave, right, with different positions than they started, but perhaps they do. And that's why I love this film. This film captures, I think, a new orientation that a growing number of people have. Yes, some of us could be located as theists, some of us located as atheists, but I think if we're as honest as this film captures, those of us that are believers are believing skeptics. And we can understand and see the other side. We can't sweepingly dismiss. And something Freud captures in this film is a kind of skeptical believer, this deep skepticism. And it's not that he lacks confidence, but he's assured he doesn't have certainty. And what happens in this age where that battle lines between atheists and theists aren't on the outside, something that is properly solved with reason, rationality, and facts. But ultimately, those big questions take place within us, where we're believing skeptics and skeptical believers figuring out what to do in our finitude, having been shaped by the ideas we've inherited, the life we've lived, the time we found ourselves in, all that kind of stuff pours in. But what do you do with it with your finitude and your future? How do you wrestle with it? Well, one way is to protect yourself from the unknown, the unexplainable, and another is to find spaces of vulnerability and honesty and transformation. And that's what happens in the film. They both end up on the transformation couch. And for me, and for getting to watch this with a group of students at Luther Theological Seminary, it was an invitation for a different kind of uh, orientation. One where what we're stewarding and what we're attending to are the moments of transparency, vulnerability, and honesty, where the power of a transformation couch becomes palpable. The film is amazing. Go see it. I enjoyed it. I loved it. I can't wait to go see it again. Everyone in the class enjoyed it. But we got a stack of questions. We're going to get to interview the director. And we're all going to go watch it with different people and then see what conversations show up when we watch it together and then report back. So there you go. There's my hearty endorsement for Freud's Last Session. And when you go see it, let me know. Let me know what you think.